Welcome to my channel. My name is Ria, and in this video we are going to talk about the full moon that is happening on December 7th or December 8th, 2022. The date can vary depending on your location. So the first thing that I want to mention is that a full moon in astrology is considered a point where something completes itself, or where something ends, or where something becomes completely clear. So this full moon is no different. We might gain some clarity about something in our lives might complete itself or culminate. It is also considered a point of emotional release. So emotions do tend to run high on a full moon, and that's something we must be mindful of. Now, this full moon is happening in the sign of Gemini. So I'll put that on the chart. That's the moon right here. And that's the sun. What makes it a full moon is when the moon and the sun are in opposition, as you can see right here. Now, this is in the sign of Gemini and it's at 16 degrees. So that's where the moon is happening, and since it is in Gemini, it will touch upon Gemini themes on a collective level, on a global level. And Gemini is associated with communication. So communication can be extremely highlighted with this full moon. Also, Gemini is to do with the facts that are out there, the information that's out there. So it can touch upon these themes as well. And Gemini is not just communication, information, facts, it's also travel. So that theme can come up as well. And Gemini is associated with the media, especially social media. So social media can be another theme that we can see highlighted on a collective, on a global level. Now, in our personal lives, if you know your chart, look for Gemini, 16 degrees of Gemini in your natal chart. That area of your life will be impacted, will be highlighted with this full moon, right? So now I am going to get into the aspects of this moon, because the aspects will give us more information about the energies of this moon. So let's get started. Now, the first and the most important aspect this moon is making is a conjunction with Mars. You can see this is Mars and it is with the moon, right? You can see this. And Mars is in red font, you can see this as well, and it's been retrograde, right? The red font signifies that it's retrograde, and it's been retrograde since October 30th. Now, retrograde means that from the Earth's perspective, a planet is appearing to move backwards, and retrogrades are usually considered a period of review. They're considered a period of taking a second look at things that we've thought about before, things that we've acted on before, things that have entered our lives before. So it's a second take, you can say, right? And Mars here, on a collective level, since October 30th, is asking us to take a second look at the themes of the facts that are out there. Are these the right facts? Is this the right information? Social media is also something that Mars retrograde has asked us to look at, right? And what that means on a collective level is that this moon is going to magnify these themes that I mentioned at the beginning of the video of information, facts, social media, travel, a little bit more than what has already been highlighted for the past few weeks. Now, in our personal lives, what this means is, if you know your chart, look for Gemini, right? That area will be more highlighted, and that area is something that you're probably already working on because Mars is retrograding here. If you don't know your charts, right, think about where you've been putting in a lot of your energy for the past few weeks. Is it a project? Is it a business? Is it a relationship? Is it your health? Is it something else, right? So that area will be highlighted with this moon, because the fact that Mars is retrograding in Gemini can give us an idea where our energies are at, and that area is highlighted with this moon. Now, Mars is the planet of action. It's the planet of energy. It's the planet of our drive, right? That's what Mars is. And what this moon can also mean is that we must act, we must take initiative, we must make efforts towards something in our lives. Now, this something, like I said, is something we've been working on for the past few weeks. It's entered our lives before, and it's not something brand new, right? Because when Mars is retrograde, we work on things we've already worked on, right? So it's not something new coming up. And what this can mean is that this moon is a pivotal moment in all the work that we've been putting in for the past few weeks in that particular area of our life, right? Which is different for everybody. It could be your business, it could be your health, it could be your project, it could be something else. So it's a pivotal moment of completion, of clarity, of things becoming clear, of endings even connected to where we've been putting in a lot of the work over the course of the past few weeks. Now, while Mars has this energy about it, it has this drive, right, that can help us do things and get what we want. Mars, when it's retrograde, can also make us feel slightly frustrated. It can make us feel slightly angry. It can make us feel like things are not moving, right? So that's something we must recognize, that feeling of feeling stuck, or that feeling of feeling like frustrated, that can set in. And the way to navigate that is by realizing that we are doing the work. It may not be tangible in a very external sort of way in terms of accomplishments and achievements and that sort of thing, but the work is being done right now, so that when Mars goes direct, and it will go direct January 2023, after that we can see all the work that we are putting in come together. And this moon is an important milestone in that work, right? So watching out for getting angry, getting frustrated, feeling stuck, these are things that might help us, if we can keep those in check. So that's something that I wanted to mention. And that's the most important thing. Now, this moon is making a few aspects. The moon and Mars, both of them, are in a positive aspect with Saturn. They are trining Saturn. Saturn here is the planet of decisions, commitments, hard work, perseverance, right? And this is a positive aspect. And Mars has been in this angle for a while. So for some time now, we've had this energy with us of being able to take structured action, being able to plan, being able to persevere, being able to put in the hard work, the discipline and dedication to get what we want, right? Whatever that goal is, whatever that area of your life that you're working so hard in is. And now this moon is also in a trine with Saturn. And what that tells me is that there is a lot of energy, again, supporting us to plan for the future, to take structured action, to get things done, right? Mars and Saturn together, they can be like a machine, right? They're two malefics in astrology, so they have their negative manifestations as well. However, this is a positive aspect, and every energy has a negative manifestation and a positive manifestation, right? So the positive manifestation of Saturn and Mars is immense drive, courage to get things done in a systematic way, in an organized way, right? So we can use that right now. We can use that Mars Saturn to get things done in an organized way, to plan, to get to structure things in our lives, to work hard and to persevere. So Saturn here is supporting us with this moon. Now, the next aspect that's going on with this moon is a sextile positive degree angle with the planet of our pain and our wounds, Chiron. You can see this on the chart, right? Now, what that tells me is that there is a healing element to this moon. We might find some healing. However, with Chiron, the healing needs to come from within. And it needs to come from a place of wisdom. And what I mean by that is, with Chiron, what happens is, Chiron asks us to face our pain. It asks us to sit in our pain. It can bring in events in our lives that make us face the same pain, the same wound again and again, till we reach a point where we say, okay, I'm wise enough. I have that knowledge and that skill set where I'm not bothered by this thing that used to really upset me, that used to hurt me, that used to wound me. So the healing comes in this way, when we become wiser, when we become more mature, when we find that power to heal others within ourselves, right? So there is a healing element, but it will require us to become mature. It will require us to find that wisdom within ourselves, right? But whatever said and done, there is a healing element to this moon. Now, the next important aspect that I want to talk about is not a major aspect in astrology, but it is still an aspect, and I think it's relevant. So we have Mars and the moon here in a semi-sextile with Uranus and the North Node, right? That's Uranus and that's the North Node, that's Mars and that's the moon. They're making a 30-degree angle. But before we talk about this 30-degree angle, coming back to the sextile with Chiron, it's not just the moon that is sextiling Chiron, it's Mars as well, right? And Mars is the planet of our energy and drive. And in a sextile with Chiron, this can be a healing towards how we take action, to our drive, to our energy, right? Because often it does happen that we lose that sense of I can, I will, let's do it now, right? Even though we might want to do something, that drive says, okay, I had that setback a few months ago. I've done this before and it didn't work out, so I'm not going to try it again. But with Mars and Chiron, we can find some healing there, right? We can find some healing in our drive, in our ability to take action and move forward. If there's something we've been wanting to do, but haven't done because, of a past setback, or just haven't found the energy or the drive or the courage or the willpower to do it, this aspect can give us that. Now let's talk about Uranus and the North Node in a semi-sextile with Moon and Mars. Now, Uranus is the planet of change, right? It brings sudden change. It brings unexpected change. It's considered the planet of the future. It's very futuristic. It's about science and tech and innovation, that sort of thing. And the North Node, Rahu, right? That's the North Node. It's Rahu. Rahu is also the future. It's very futuristic as well, right? Especially in Vedic astrology, Rahu is the most futuristic one, right? But Rahu is also a magnifier. And together, what this means to me is that this is an energy that is all about change, that is all about the future, that is all about futuristic things, right? And if you remember, in the month of July, right, Uranus and the North Node met up, July 31st to be exact. And this started the cycle of change. And I say it started because it's a 15-year cycle. So it takes time for the energies to fully show themselves. But the process of change started July 31st. And it's been building since then. Now, this Moon and Mars are in a semi-sextile with this. And what this can mean is that this is an important step in the change that started in the month of July as well, right? And with Mars making an aspect with Uranus, right? Although this is a positive aspect, this can give us a lot of sudden energy to get things done, right? But since it's Uranus and since it's Mars, what to watch out for here is sudden aggression, right? Sudden frustration. So those are the things to watch out for. But generally speaking, this moon is an important step in the change that started, especially in the month of July, July 31st to be exact. So this is another positive aspect that's going on. Now, let me see if I have missed out on anything else that I wanted to touch upon. And yes, I have. So while it's making these supportive aspects, right, semi-sextile to Uranus and the North Node, sextile to Chiron, trine to Saturn, this moon is making a challenging aspect to Neptune, right? Neptune here, this is Neptune, is the planet of confusion. And a square is considered a challenging aspect in astrology, right? It represents change, it represents friction. So this moon is squaring Neptune, and what that means is that there can be confusion, there can be uncertainty of some sort, right? I know I said that this moon can bring clarity, right? Yes, it can. But what it can be is like, okay, I've become clear about how I want to do this thing. but I'm uncertain about the future. I'm uncertain about how this thing is going to pan out, right? So there can be this uncertainty, there can be this confusion as well. And the way to navigate Neptune is by tapping into our intuition and instincts, right? Going with our gut can really help use that Neptunian energy in a positive way. Often what fails with Neptune is logic, right? With Neptune, what we need to trust is our gut. So those were the important aspects, and now I will just sum these up in a sentence or two. So this moon is a pivotal step in all the work that we have been doing for the past few weeks with Mars retrograde, right? And it's an important milestone even in the change that started on July 31st with Uranus and the North Node. There is a healing element to this wound, but the healing will need to come from within. It will need to come from a place of wisdom. What to watch out for is becoming confused or feeling uncertain. In that case, tapping into our intuition, going with our gut, going with our instincts can really help. What to watch out for also is this feeling of feeling stuck, feeling of feeling frustrated or angry, right? And realizing that this is the background work going on, so that things can really start coming together in our lives after the month of January when Mars does go direct. And there's a lot of energy supporting us to plan, to persevere, to work hard, to take structured, disciplined action at the moment, right? So that's the moon in a nutshell. Now, there is one more thing I'd like to mention, and that is the Saturn-Uranus square. Saturn and Uranus. They've been making a 90-degree angle for the past 2 years almost, right? And this aspect, a 90-degree angle between Saturn and Uranus, is not very common. The last time this happened was about 20 years ago. So it's a rare thing to feel, it's a rare thing to go through. And for the past 2 years, we've been going through it, right? But it comes in waves. It comes in waves. It peaks and then the energy goes down. It peaks and then the energy goes down. So last year, 2021, Feb, June, December, this energy was very intense. And this year, October into November, this energy was very intense. Now, what is this energy? Saturn here is the planet of restrictions and limitations and control and hard work and decisions, discipline, commitments. It's the traditional. And Uranus likes to break free. It's change, it's the new, it's progressive, it's futuristic, right? So when they square like this, these two very different energies, what we can feel is this push and pull between the past and the future. Okay, this push and pull between wanting to break free but feeling restricted, right? So that's what we've been feeling. And the challenge with this is that we must embrace the new. We must change for the new, right? So that's what we've been trying to do. And October into November was the last time this energy was so intense. So we did that final work in stepping into the new in a major way, right? Saturn is still in Aquarius. It is still very strong. It is still squaring Uranus, but not in an intense way. And why I bring this up is because on this moon, that square, that restriction, that limitation, that pull of the past will not be as strong as it was in the month of October and November of this year. So we are feeling maybe less restricted. Maybe we're feeling like, okay, I can see and work towards the future, the new, a little bit more, in a little bit easier manner. So these are the things that I wanted to touch upon regarding Western astrology. So in Vedic astrology, this moon is happening in the sign of Taurus, right? One of the differences between Vedic and Western astrology is that in Vedic astrology, the energies are a little bit behind, right? So this moon's happening in the sign of Taurus, but more importantly, it is happening in the nakshatra of Rohini, right? Nakshatras or lunar mansions are smaller divisions of a sign. They have their own meaning, they have their own interpretation, they have their own rulership. So it's like a mini sign. And what Rohini means is, one, it is associated with being a little restless, a lot like Gemini, right? It is represented by a chariot. So it also signifies movement, right? A lot like Gemini as well, forward movement especially. Rohini is associated with wealth and the economy, right? So these are the basic themes that can be highlighted with Vedic astrology. This sense of moving forward, which is very apparent in Western astrology as well, right? This sense of maybe feeling a little restless, which I didn't mention, but is also very apparent in Western astrology because the moon is happening in Gemini, and Gemini energy is very stimulating, right? Also, in Vedic astrology, it is highlighting themes of the wealth and the economy. But if we look at the chart, even in Western astrology, we do have Uranus and the North Node still in the sign of Taurus, right? And Taurus is wealth. Taurus is the economy, it's currencies, it's food resources, it's raw materials. So all these things are highlighted even in Western astrology, right? So in Vedic, a lot of emphasis on the economy, on wealth, on forward movement, on maybe feeling slightly restless, right? Now, while the moon is in the nakshatra of Rohini, the sun will be in the opposing sign, Scorpio, in the nakshatra of Jyeshtha. Now, Jyeshtha is considered the most mature nakshatra, right? It's considered the most the one that takes care of everything, right? It's like the eldest one in charge of everything. So that's the energy of Jyeshtha. Think of it like the eldest sibling taking care of younger siblings. So that eldest sibling must be mature, must be wise, must be disciplined, must take charge. So Jyeshtha is that sort of energy. So in Vedic astrology, with the sun's placement in Jyeshtha nakshatra, what this tells me is that we must act like the elder sibling, right? We must act like the wise one, the mature one, take action in a mature way, right? In an organized way. Because when we need to take charge and get things done, and we are the most mature, that's when we really need to get organized. So that theme of getting organized, working from a place of wisdom, working from a place of maturity is extremely highlighted in Vedic astrology as well. So overall, this moon is another stepping stone, because the moons in the month of November, which were eclipses, were also big stepping stones. Now this is another stepping stone, especially in the work we've put in over the course of the past few weeks, especially in the change that started July 31st, and which is a long-term change and will take time to show itself. It is also a moon that can support structured action and healing. But if there is confusion and uncertainty, going with our instincts might really help. So I hope you enjoyed this, and now I will see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.